There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the House of Wellness, where I, along with my great friends on the couch here, aim to bring you a lot of options to get you up and going and on the path to good health. Welcome to Heinzie, Luke Hines, and to Joe Stanley. How are you guys?
Morning, buddy.
It's so lovely to be here and feeling healthy.
Remember down though, no Rachael Finch today, which is disappointing, but as always, she's doing incredible stuff in the wellness space. Might even be over in New York City,
I believe. Big Apple, absolutely.
Really?
So we'll bring to the House of Wellness some great stuff from Rachael, as always. And Joe, I know she'd be very disappointed not to meet our special guest today, which is Energy Healer Charlie Goldsmith.
Yeah, I think she would be really disappointed to miss this amazing story. Now, energy healing is probably something that not many people have heard of, so I'm really interested in meeting Charlie. He has made many waves in the world of alternative medicine. But what's really interesting, I think really important points to make, is that he is clear that he does not heal everybody and he doesn't know why, and that he doesn't charge for his time, which I think is really crucial, and has always been completely open to scientific study.
And Heinzie, I know you've been following one particular case out of his TV show in the US that Charlie's had some success on.
That's exactly right, Das. I'm really fascinated by this. It's about a 2.5-year-old boy called Gibson who has a genetic condition known as congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Now, his parents, Heather and Jason, took what is described best as a leap of faith and applied to go on Charlie's show in the US. Guys, here is what happened.
You don't feel good? Alright, we're here waiting at the doctor's office because Gibson doesn't feel good today.
My name is Heather Berktel and I'm the mother of Gibson Berktel. Gibson is diagnosed with congenital adrenal hyperplasia. It is a genetic disorder and your adrenal glands produce cortisol, and that cortisol is released into your body that handles stress, injury, or illness. Gibson's body produces zero. He got diagnosed with another illness and it's called growth hormone deficiency. So he just started his growth hormone shots.
We do the shot every night before bed.
I know, Bubba.
He doesn't like taking naps, and we're lucky if we get an hour to 2 hour nap. He moves around a lot in his sleep too. He's trying to find a comfortable position. We think it's because his bones and joints are aching.
Gibson gets really bad migraines to the point of like, he can't function, he gets dizzy. If you've ever experienced a migraine, you know how hard it is. Imagine for a 2-year-old. I always think, like, if this is Gibson's, like, last day, you know, is this what I want it to be? Do I want it to be where I'm, like, sheltering him or hovering him or telling him to be careful or, you know, tell him to watch out or living by an alarm clock and giving him his medication all the time? Or do I want it to be like that? No, I don't. I want him to be a normal kid. You know, Charlie is a big glimmer of hope for me. And even if it's not the huge, oh my God, he's healed. Even if it's not that and it's, oh my God, my son can walk and jump and not have to get in pain anymore, that to me is change. I know I have the hope in my son and I have the hope in his future that things will get brighter.
The first thing I would say is I haven't come across this before.
Yeah.
So I have no idea of what I can and can't do. So I want you to walk to your mum again for me. How does your knee feel now?
Feel better.
Feels better?
Yeah.
Gibson, can you come and hang out with me just a little more? I'm going to sit down here with you. Will you lie on the floor for me? Perfect. Okay, just relax your head. Good patience. Or he's gone to sleep.
Oh, wow. He never falls asleep like that. Is he really asleep?
No, he's asleep.
Charlie, you got him asleep.
He doesn't sleep.
Look at that.
He was definitely asleep.
I can't believe he just fell asleep like that.
I know.
It's very strange. Wow.
Well, let's see what happens. You know, I really hope that some of this stuff is improved, so we just got to see.
Okay. Do I think that, like, whatever Charlie did to him is going to help his pain, and even just his well-being? Yeah, of course, because look at him, you can tell. Overall, Gibson's doing great, and he's healthy and happy. He's been playing and jumping and running and keeping up and doing great. We haven't had to give him any stress dosage or any extra things like that because he's doing so good. And he's sleeping through the night, which is awesome. He hasn't done that. Thank you, Charlie. Can you blow him a kiss?
Wow, that is quite an incredible story, Joe. It's hard to get your head around that one.
I find it really emotional to see that little boy who obviously was in such distress, and 2-year-olds can't fake things.
No.
You know, for him to actually be still and restful like that is quite profound.
Yeah.
And I can't get my head around it.
Had a big
You want to
effect on you,
believe
I
it?
can
Well,
tell,
it really
watching that
has.
with you, yeah.
It really has.
Yeah.
Now, that was almost 2 years ago, and after the break, I talk with Gibson's mum, Heather, to see how he's doing now. You've got to stick around for that one. Earlier, you saw the story of 2.5-year-old Gibson. He and his family spent an afternoon with Charlie Goldsmith, the Energy Healer, almost 2 years ago. Gibson is 4 now, and I spoke with his mum to find out what Gibson's life is like now.
I just knew Gibson needed something. And why not take the leap of faith? Like, why not try anything you can to help your child? So I found the ad, and something just told me to do it. And the best decision I've ever made.
Now, I've got to say, the footage is incredible. And watching it, in particular, what caught me was when Gibson fell asleep. Can you tell me your initial reaction to that moment?
My initial reaction to that moment was fear. Completely fear, because Gibson doesn't do that. And the kid who doesn't sleep is now sleeping. And I was so scared in that moment. I didn't know. I think it was like the worry of what the heck just happened to my kid, to the complete amazement. And that's actually one of our family favorite moments. Just earlier when I was talking with Gibson about Charlie, because we occasionally talk about him, and Gibson said, "Mom, remember that's the guy who put me to sleep on the floor."
Is Gibson there now?
Yeah, he is. He's here.
Can we say hello?
Did you show them your cool boy dance move?
Come on, let's see you dance, Gibson. Oh, fantastic. Look at that.
He's not the dancer.
He is a happy, active boy. Tell me, since your visit with Charlie, what are the biggest changes that you are seeing in this little man?
Obviously, his lab results are incredible. It's the biggest deal because doctors, they have a hard time with Charlie, especially Gibson's doctors at first. They had a hard time with Charlie. So we went back and forth on it. And as soon as Gibson's doctor got great lab results from Gibson, he started to believe, because he kept asking, what else did I do? And he was looking for an answer. He was looking for me to tell him I changed something or I had done something. And the answer is Charlie. So lab results are the biggest. Developmentally, to me, is he's reaching milestones that I never thought he would do. You know, he's playing soccer. He's going to preschool. He's achieving so much more than I had ever imagined, because sadly, I didn't think he was going to be able to do those things.
Did you feel it was an overnight transition, or was this a progressive change?
We could see it right away. You know, we can see the changes right away. So that night that Charlie left, Gibson slept, I think it was 2 hours. He took that nap. And then when Charlie left, we woke him up, we had dinner, he went back to sleep, slept the entire night. And Gibson usually would wake up, 5 to 6 times in the night in pain and would need some pain medicine, and nothing. His body was now replenished, and he was getting that rest that he needed so bad. I think the very next couple of days was the biggest shock for us.
How would you explain it then?
science speaking in general like that, I have no idea. Luke, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. And it's something that I tried to figure out, and I've tried to say, okay, what does he do? What is this? And I don't think it's something for me to know. Honestly, I think it's something bigger than you and I, and I'm not sure, but Charlie definitely changed lives. That's for sure.
Can I say bye to Gibson?
Absolutely.
Thanks for the chat, Gibson.
Thank you guys so much. It was great to talk. Oh, he's waving to you. Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.
Oh, what a great story. Joining us to share more about his experience is Charlie Goldsmith. Thanks for joining us in the House of Wellness, Charlie.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's nice to meet you. I feel like I know you already because we know your extended family. Your sister's one of the great entertainers, Toddy. Your dad's one of the most successful businessmen in Melbourne. Your auntie, Olivia Newton-John. Unbelievable family connection. But there'll be sceptics out there, but that is a very compelling story we just saw about a young boy. How do you explain what you do?
I don't try and explain it. I demonstrate it. You know, so I sort of believe that I can explain it in the way I believe it happens, but then we can argue about beliefs and why something might work one way and why it might work another. But for me, the demonstration is everything. So, which is why, you know, I think I've done that with you guys as well.
Yeah.
So I don't have an explanation that I can say this is something that I can prove, except I can demonstrate.
So, Charlie, I see that story of Gibson and I'm incredibly moved because I find children who are in pain and struggling very sad. You must see that all the time. But his shift is physical, like it's and the doctors are amazed. Do you need to go back and kind of give him a little top up?
With him, I did.
Right.
So I worked on him. You just showed a little clip, but I worked on him, I think, that day that you saw him, and then again a little the next day. And then I think I did maybe one more. So for me, it can be between once and 3 times, probably at the most. If I haven't fixed someone by the 3rd go, I probably can't. So, yeah, it just depends.
And when we saw that and you were putting your hands over him, what are you feeling?
It's not so much what I'm feeling. I guess I'm focusing energy that comes out of me. And a lot of people will actually feel it come out of me. Not everyone will feel it, but they'll actually feel that there's a actual exchange. Like they'll feel a tingle or heat, or, you know, they describe it in different ways. So I'm essentially, what you saw then was me focusing. So when I first worked on him, I was working on his knees because the mother had mentioned that he's got joint pain all the time and he can collapse from knee pain. And then when I brought him back, I was before I got asked to see him, I actually said no to seeing Gibson, because just like this here is a big expense every time you do a shoot, right? And because I knew that, they were saying, can you do this? And I was like, it's genetic, I probably won't be able to do it. But maybe I could do the pain in his knees, it's arthritic or whatever it is. And then at the last second, I was like, I'll just try and see if I can do this genetic thing, which is what I lay him down for. And that,
did you do that, Charlie? that was demonstrated. That was incredible, mate. You actually lifted a painting off the wall then. Can you do it again?
Yeah, just give me a minute. So then I did what I thought might work for his genetic issue, and it appears that it, you know, may have had some effect. Yeah.
Charlie, can you tell pretty early on if something is going to work for someone as opposed to someone else?
Mostly straight away. So when I work on someone, typically we'll see a change within a minute or 2. So like what you saw on the show, it's real time I mean, you cut it up a little bit. It's typically real time, it's like 30 to 60 seconds. And then I'll test someone. So if someone, like his knees, I'll work on them for 30 seconds and then we'll test them. And usually I would see a change in a case I can help within a very short window.
Charlie, have you met anyone else who does what you do? Is there a community of people that are energy healers?
There is certainly a population of people. It's quite hard to sift through and find who is for real and who isn't. It's one of the biggest challenges, I think, because it's not really an industry. You know, it's not in any way governed or policed. So you can say you do these things and not necessarily have results, and there's a lot of that out there. So I've had a bit of trouble finding people.
And do you have more success with some cases than others?
Well, I either have success or I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
what do you think is happening then when it's successful for you? What is the actual process, do you think?
Okay, well, ask me what happens. Look, I think that for whatever reason there is an intelligence in this energy that I can project, which somehow I look at it like in simple terms, like when you have a computer that has a virus and you put a virus scanner in or software that's got code in it that can recognise issues and then rectify them. And I'm not saying that's actually what happens, but that's my way of best understanding it, that there's an intelligence of some kind, because the change is so fast, faster than you would ever see the body heal itself. Like, you know, I sometimes work on people that have a high fever. They could have an infection and be in hospital with a high fever and it drops immediately. So like straight, not in 10 minutes, in seconds, just drop. So I'm not sure how to explain that.
Charlie, it feels like not an easy path to go down. I mentioned, you know, mainstream family, we all know them so well. People are going to come after you, and they have done in the past, and say, you know, this guy's absolutely full of it. Have you found that challenging? Do you feel a little bit as though you're under attack, or do you just push on and do what you do?
Both. You are under attack a lot, and I've been doing it I woke up with it 21 years ago, and so I've experienced sort of both sides. But yeah, it's hard. Like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't choose it.
Does it frighten you?
No, it doesn't scare me. Initially, I was probably more like, wow, this is amazing. Like, people should know these things happen, because suddenly I'm doing it. And I was almost got a bit annoyed that how can, if these things exist, how can they not be accepted in the world? Because I was seeing it again and again and again. I discovered it by accident, and then you're up against, as you said, all the negativity and the whatever. So it's the opposite to what most people have as a path for their skill set, whereas you had academies and teachers and scholarships and football teams and all that sort of stuff. When you do what I do, you discover it, and then you're like, well, you're a fraud, or you're delusional, or you're this. So you're not supported like in most other talents.
We need to stick around, Charlie, because as you know, at the House of Wellness, we brought 5 people to the table with different ailments to see what you could do. We did it last week, and we're very keen to share the results of that session right after the break. Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Joining us is Energy Healer Charlie Goldsmith. And Charlie, you've seen lots of people, you've healed a number of people, also hasn't worked on others. Are there certain conditions that you're finding, you know, arthritis or other ailments, you go, that's a sweet spot that works for you?
I mean, arthritis is probably one of the sweet spots, but still, if you line up 10 people with a arthritic condition, and we did one in your group, I still probably only help 8 of them, 7 or 8, and then 2 I won't, even if they had identical cases. So, yeah, I don't know why sometimes I can't do some and not others, and it sort of works like that across the board. It seems like you get, again, back to your cases, you gave me 5 cases that were completely different, and I still get that same consistency of that sort of 7 or 8 and 10 where I get good results for.
You mentioned the 5 people who have tried many other treatments with no success, and we got them to catch up with Charlie. Time limits allow us to show just one of those stories. Let's take a look now.
2 years ago, Melbourne mother of 3 Rachael had a root canal which she says has left her with trigeminal neuralgia, severe sharp facial pain similar to an electrical shock.
Basically what it is, you've got a series of nerves in your face. There's 3 which are coming out from your brain stem. The one that I've got, which is the atypical, can be a number of constant pain. So crushing, stabbing, burning, strangling, shooting, and that's all within the face. There is no procedure out there that can help you. The only thing that can help you is anti-epileptic drugs, and there's a few of those, and I've tried at least 5 to 6 unsuccessfully. So I get a lot of strangulation, what feels like in my eyes. So it feels like someone's got the back of my eyes and there's pressure. Squeezing pressure, yeah.
Okay.
And now I kind of have that bilateral over my face.
Okay, and so do you ever have days where it's just gone?
Sometimes much less. So if I sit on an average of 2, I might wake up one morning and an average of 7. I might wake up and it might be a 2 for the whole day, and I think, wow.
Right.
Like,
and 2 is obviously bearable.
Yeah, it's bearable, it's manageable.
You never have a perfect day? Like 0?
No.
Not in 2 years?
Not in 2 years.
Okay, and so what would you rate it out of 10 now?
I would be at about a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
Just, you know, a burning sensation in my jaw at the moment and a few pressure points going on.
All right, just give me a second, and you don't have to do anything, you just can relax. Okay, so I just want you to tell me if it feels the same or different.
It feels different. It feels, if it was like this, then it's smaller.
To the tooth?
Yeah, to this, yeah.
It's where it happens.
So the burning sensation, so yeah, it's decreased.
Decreased in surface area?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and now?
There's slight sensation there, but not
Yeah.
anything major. I can feel something, but it's not pain.
Can you feel something that is different to what you normally feel?
Yes.
Because that could be what I'm doing. So tingles,
Yeah.
heat, yeah.
Yeah. That's, yeah, I feel...
So there's a sensation,
There's a sensation there, yeah.
but it's nothing like what your normal feelings
No.
are. Yeah, so in terms of your normal stuff,
Yep.
we're at what?
Well, it's a 0. It's not like it was
It's
before.
gone.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is the first time in 2 years you've had no pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
We focused on an area of pain that diminished and got smaller, and then it changed. So we're going to wait and see what happens.
It was great to watch. I knew towards the end that Rachael was getting emotional, but I think she was emotional because she was feeling a change, you know, a positive change, less pain.
Charlie, that is so remarkable. I'm sorry, I can't stop talking to you. I'm very fascinated. I'm someone who I feel like I'm conflicted between my head and my heart. I see this and I believe that there's a change in those people and I see that process, but my head is cynical. I think we all are to a degree. What's happening in that process when we see you? Are you tuning into her?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't see it, but often people will feel it. When I focus in on an area, I am moving what feels to me like it's almost like another limb, and that's what has the effect on people. So, but it's like if she took a pill and 30 seconds later she had no pain, you wouldn't question it.
You're right.
Would you?
Yeah.
So, but if you line up those 5 people and I work on, or you give all of them a pill and 80% of them feel better, that's fine. Exactly the same result from me, and you're like, I can't understand this. But at the end of the day, the results are the results.
Charlie, how hard a path in life is this to choose this path as an energy healer? Because people come after you, they have come after you, and they will. People watch this show and go, absolute rubbish, I don't believe it. Do you find that disturbing? Do you find it challenging, or is that just part of you?
It's definitely, I mean, I've had enough years with it now to get used to it, and there's a real beauty actually in being able to get a lot of challenges, a lot of criticisms, and being able to kind of become okay with it. To be able to get up in the morning and read a mean tweet and go, that doesn't affect me. So there's actually a growth potential in getting attacked a lot, and I think anyone in the spotlight can go either way, go I can't handle it, or actually I've become stronger because of it. So I think that I've definitely experienced that, but it's pretty, you know, it's pretty awful because I can take someone like Gibson and have a great result, and then get an email from someone accusing me of taking advantage of a vulnerable family.
But you don't charge, do you?
No, I don't charge, and he's had the result that they desired that he couldn't get elsewhere. So, but I still can get, you know, negativity for the good, not even if I make a mistake. So, and that's unusual. That's not so common in other areas, you know.
So now I know that you take a while to claim a positive result. So we had 4 out of 5 people there did experience a positive result, but you take a while to say that, yes, you believe it's worked. How long do you take?
There's just sort of milestones. So like on the day I actually had 5 out of 5. They all looked like good results, but it takes really 24 hours before we see if it's acted as a very good painkiller, or if it's going to be something that is a solution. But just as a painkiller, 5 out of 5 is obviously good. But for me, that's sort of very secondary to if it's going to hold. So if it holds for 24 hours, that's usually a very, very high chance of being long-term.
So there being longevity in the treatment.
That's right. So now most of those are at sort of 3 or 4 days, I think. So getting to the point where I think probably going to stay that way.
And interestingly with Gibson is his reaction was actually matched by his lab results.
Absolutely, yeah. So, which is, I mean, it has to be really, doesn't it? So and he's now at the 2-year mark. The first person I ever worked on was 21 years ago, and she's still doing well. So.
And you are open to science taking a look at your results?
Oh, absolutely. That's been my whole aim. So I've never tried to be clinical. I mean, have my own clinic or anything like that. I've just been focused on trying to get scientific studies. So.
Charlie, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being open enough to come on, and I'm open enough to think that positive energy can create positive results. Thanks for joining us on the House of Wellness.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
How do sweet, juicy, caramelised pineapple slices cooked in a light, fluffy coconut pancake batter sound for a healthy tropical breakfast? Let's take a look. We'll start by sautéing pineapple slices with maple syrup, and while that's caramelising, let's begin making our batter. We add coconut butter, an egg, and some milk to the flour, then whisk until smooth. By adding a teaspoon of BioGlam Marine Collagen Beauty Powder, we're giving our complexion an extra boost, keeping skin firm and youthful. Pour the batter into the centre of the pan and give it a swirl. Then transfer it to the oven for about 15 minutes. Flip onto a plate to serve, crank up the tropical sounds, and start planning your next beach holiday.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. It was a big weekend in Melbourne as some of the most chiselled men and women strutted their stuff in the Arnold Classic Finals, the Pro League bodybuilding event, and we've been following the progress of our special guest, Lawrence Templar, who's been gearing up for this comp for months. So, Lawrence, welcome to you, mate. How did it all go?
Really, really good. I was really happy with how it looked on stage.
This was your first pro event. Were you terrified?
Yes.
Now, we've seen some vision over the last couple of weeks of your preparation. Do you guys keep this pretty tight to your chest, or do you talk about it amongst the bodybuilding community and share tips and tricks?
The more you share, the better, I guess.
Yeah.
Everyone is very helpful in the whole scene.
Yeah.
You can talk to everyone backstage and they'll tell you what they're doing, what they're eating. But the thing is, everyone's different.
So speaking of sharing, show us your hands.
Oh, there.
Do you share fake tan, or at least put it on for your competitors?
No, you rock up in the morning at like 7:30 in the morning, and there's a company that'll do the tans for you, and then you just kind of wait around, all sticky, waiting to go back on stage.
Can you explain what it is about the tanning? Because that's sort of when as someone who's not initiated in the sport, I see that and I think, I mean, come on, like tone it down at least 2 or 3 shades. Why do you have to go so hard on it?
Under the harsh lights,
yes,
I'm pretty sure it would kind of dry you out if you weren't as tanned, and they want everyone the same colour.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of be judged just on your body.
Oh, so they can compare body tone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, if someone's really pale and someone's got like 3 coats of tan, it may look like a little bit different, and they may look leaner than what they are on stage.
So, okay, so this is a very particular look. Do you do this for the look, or is it the mental challenge?
A bit of both, to be honest. It is really cool to see yourself get to that stage, but the mental state of actually getting there is more rewarding. I didn't actually realise how emotional it would be after I stepped off stage. Like, even though I didn't place or anything like that, I couldn't believe that I went through the whole process of 20 weeks of getting down to 3% body fat on stage.
Wow.
Like, they videoed it. I could barely even do push-ups backstage when I was pumping up. Like, after 5 sets, it was just ridiculous.
I mean, the discipline is unbelievable. What do you miss the most when you're training?
Food.
Water. Something in particular.
Having a life.
That you just crave. I
that's
can't
it,
wait.
yeah. Probably just having a life.
Right.
Like, the best part after the comp wasn't eating like lollies or like a little bit of chocolate or biscuits. It was sitting down with my family and my extended family. We just went to La Porchetta. I think I ate half a parma, some wedges, and like seeing my daughter just pig out on spaghetti, getting her face messy, and actually being able to be part of it, having everyone there, like that was the cherry on top of the day.
It's the Arnold Classic, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was in town in Melbourne for the event. Pioneer of the industry you love. Did you get to meet him?
No. I saw him. I would love to meet him.
He's got a real presence at that place.
Oh, he
He
does.
has about 1,000 people that
You've
follow
met
him around.
Arnold before, Joe, in the past. How'd you go with Arnold?
He's got an energy to him.
It's all about energy today, definitely.
Is he still regarded as the sort of pioneer of your sport?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, he definitely had one of the best physiques I've ever seen, which is why I think they brought back in classic physique, which is the category that's it's definitely bigger than the category I did. It's one that I originally wanted to do, but my coach, Alex Stevenson, was just like, that's going to take a couple of years, which is fine. Yeah.
Lawrence, we've been following your progress with interest. Out of interest, did you get to the top three or?
No. I came first in Victoria for first-timers, but then because there's no first-timers, I've already competed in the Arnolds, I didn't even place in novice.
Right.
But yeah.
We feel like you were robbed. Next year it's going to be your year. You did a great job. Thanks for sharing it with us. We appreciate it. Stay with us here on the House of Wellness. Plenty more to come right after the break. Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Always great to be sitting alongside Joe Stanley. Joe, I want to talk to you about AFL Women's, and I know you're a massive fan. I love it. As a father of 3 boys and a girl, Sienna's my 13-year-old daughter, and to be able to connect with her, she's playing her 4th season. She loves it. It's been a revelation for me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a Collingwood supporter, grew up with footy, but never played because it wasn't around in the 80s. But so what's really crucial about AFLW is that for our little girls now, they can dream the same thing, which is to perhaps one day play on the MCG, as all of their brothers and male friends always have dreamed. And that's such a shift because we all should be able to have the same dreams, whatever gender we are.
Beautifully said. One of the AFLW's finest, Emily Bates, who's a best and fairest winner of the Lions, was also part of the All-Australian team, has been doing more than her fair share in the area of sun safety, and she caught up with our own Laura Geitz in Brisbane. Let's have a look.
I obviously must have always had my hair parted like that as a child. So I think there was 4 that were found in this part line and then came down onto my forehead here. And then the other ones is just on my neck. I'm always, I guess, being exposed, wearing polo shirts, playing sport.
23-year-old Emily Bates from the AFLW Brisbane Lions knows all too well the effects of prolonged unprotected exposure to the sun.
Being a sport lover, I think I played every sport under the sun and even going to the beach on the weekends with friends. So I didn't really wear sunscreen as much as I should have. So I guess I'm paying the price now.
It was a documentary about a young girl who lost her life to melanoma that was the catalyst for Emily to have her own skin checked out.
Basically, didn't expect for him to find anything, but straight away he just looked at me and spotted, I think it was 6 in that appointment, and just said, I'm basically allergic to the sun. My skin is so sensitive to these skin cancers.
Good. So that scar is just a little bit kind of red and a little bit lumpy.
6 basal cell carcinomas were removed from Emily's head, face and neck.
But it's essentially healed, and so it should be able to tolerate whatever you can throw at it from a footballing playing point of view. Basal cells live in the deeper layers of the epidermis, which is the top layer of the skin. They are a highly replicative group of cells, so they turn over very quickly, and therefore they're susceptible to sun and the damage to their genes that occurs when they're exposed to ultraviolet light. But obviously, if you can get these things detected earlier, it can be much easier to fix them.
And if they are left unattended, what are the dangers of them?
As is the case with many cancers, they will grow. So they increase in size, and not just in one dimension. They can increase in, increase in size side to side, but also in depth, and that can be a real problem.
These days, every time Emily runs out on the ground, she's covered head to toe in sunscreen.
To all the girls, some of them rock up to training with blisters on their arms, like from tanning all day, so they get a firm word from me now. But yeah, it's just, they're all really supportive, and a lot of the girls are wearing long sleeve jerseys as well.
That happens so often, an event that can make us act on our own health.
We've got Emily running around, Luke, and am I short or are you just tall? We've got Emily running around, but we're coming out of summer and we're moving into autumn. So we're talking now about building protection to keep us as well as we possibly can right across the cooler months.
That's right, Gerald. What have you got here? Is that echinacea?
Very clever of you, Luke. Yes, we've got olive leaf, which is a very powerful natural medicine, particularly because of the active ingredients in the components, what we call the actives in the leaves. This is echinacea, and remember we had a lovely story. We were walking in an echinacea field just recently. So, and there's another one that's often combined with this called andrographis, and the three herbs are essentially immune boosting, Luke. And they are designed to help us get through those cooler months.
Well, talking about our immune system, obviously gut health is very important, so what we eat comes into play, bone broth, fermented veggies?
Very important, and that's obviously food is the basis. Food choices are the basis of the immune system. But when we're talking about therapeutic actions in herbs, the combination like this is really important. Now, these are specific herbs. So it's very important to get the correct advice. So it's always a good idea if you're presenting with symptoms of cough, sinusitis, sore throat, at least get some proper advice. Use the therapeutically active herbs from a healthcare practitioner. So rely on your healthcare practitioner to give you the best solution for any issues you have across winter.
The A to Z of vitamins is brought to us by Bioceuticals, your choice for high-quality, practitioner-only, nutritional and therapeutic supplements.
Children diagnosed with Duchenne muscular dystrophy generally require a wheelchair early on in their life, and many don't live past their mid-20s. And unfortunately, we are yet to find a cure.
This sea of yellow marks the start of 172 kilometres of pure dedication. Thousands of people pulling together in a show of support for kids who can't walk.
They've latched onto this because you're either a parent or you're either an uncle or an auntie or you've had some adversity in your life that you can empathise and know that to have a sick child is something tough, and they wouldn't, wish that upon anybody. That's why they come in their droves to support us.
Bass Abood watched his friend Ellie Eid push his son down the street in a wheelchair with a handful of people in tow. 11 years on, and Bass is now Vice President of the Save Our Sons movement.
We fund a Duchenne-specific nurse in 5 children's hospitals around the country, so we fund those nurses, as well as equipment for the boys, like stand-up wheelchairs, breathing machines, cough assist machines.
I was going to say, at home there must be so many things that...
Oh, and it's very, very expensive.
Yeah.
Also, the aim, the number one goal is to fund research and science to hopefully find a cure.
While 50 push-ups warm up the starters, there's no warm-up required for some of our hottest sports stars. All here to support special people who have touched their hearts.
Becoming a dad recently, it just really hits home how much your children mean to you, and to see what the guys have been through with their children, it just means a lot.
This is my first big exercise since I've been pregnant, so I'm looking forward to getting out and about, and it's obviously for a great cause, so you don't need much more motivation than that.
3, 2, 1. Ellie Eid and his son have covered thousands of kilometres over the years. A father dedicated to conquering a muscle wasting condition that affects 1 in 3,500 boys. I am so thrilled to be part of the Duchenne family.
Well, we've missed Rachael Finch on this episode of the House of Wellness, but it was great to have her bring that story to us. You don't need to look far for a bit of perspective, do you, Joe? And kids struggling and kids in pain, as we've spoken about a bit today, it just breaks your heart, doesn't it?
It really does. And when you see the incredible efforts of everybody who's doing that walk and from Duchenne, that's a message of hope, that those families who know that their boys are very, very sick, they are not giving up. They are working to hopefully one day find a cure. And they're aiming to raise $1 million this year alone. And so far in this campaign, they've raised $501,000 and $398.67.
Well, that
it's an incredible effort.
Yeah.
But they've got that huge goal. And obviously, there's hopefully at the end of this a cure for all of the boys that are born with this condition. So maybe consider donating today.
Yeah, and well done. Love the community spirit in it, Gerald and Heinz. It's great, isn't it? People getting out, thinking about causes greater than themselves.
I think next year we should all do it together. I think it's going to be in Melbourne, so I think we should all band together and get amongst it, definitely.
How long was the run?
A walk.
You can walk. Okay, no, that's fine.
He can't run, so we'd be walking.
Well, he can't run in those anyway. Can't bend his legs in the skinny leg gene.
Well, that is our show for another week. Go to our website, houseofwellness.com.au for more info on all things healthy. And don't forget to tune into the House of Wellness Radio every Sunday with Gerald. Thanks to Heinzie, thanks to Joe Stanley, and thanks for joining us. And thank you to our great friends at Chemist Warehouse.